Hi, I'm Nina with Avid Armor, and thank you for joining us today for our live Q&A session. Today we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of our two chamber vacuum sealers, our USV20 and our USV32. One of the biggest questions that we get is which one is right for me. So we're going to compare the similarities and the differences between the two and let you make the decision which is right for you. So to start, the biggest difference between the two is the chamber size. Our USV20 is our baby model, and the USV32 is our larger model. As you can see, the length from the front to the back of the chamber is quite a bit different between the two. The USV20 is about 8 inches from front to back, and the USV32 is 12 inches from front to back. So they both have the same 11.5-inch seal bar, so you can vacuum seal up to an 11-inch wide bag in both of them. The USV20, the maximum bag size is our 11 by 10 bag. We designed this bag specifically for this model. It fits the orientation of this chamber since it's wider than it is long. So 11 by 10 is the maximum bag size for the USV20. And then our USV32, our maximum bag size is 11 by 13. So in a few minutes, we'll show you what you can seal in both of these so you can get a good idea of the size for each of those. Now, the USV20 chamber is made out of a heavy-duty injected molded plastic, and then the USV32 has a stainless steel chamber. As you also can see, one of the biggest make or break items between the two, some people, is the accessory port. The USV20 has an accessory port, the USV32 does not. But the cool thing is I'll show you how you can still vacuum seal some canisters and mason jars and things in the USV32. We'll go ahead and show you that. So we have our, this is our smallest canister of our 3-piece family canister set. And with the hose, you would attach it to the accessory port, and then we're going to rotate the dial to seal on our canister. And I'll try to put it down here. I'm just trying to keep this in the frame to get it on the camera, but I might be stretching my hose a little bit too much. But so on the USV20, all you have to do once you have your canister and your hose attached is you press and you hold down on the auto vacuum seal button for about 2 seconds, and then that's going to activate the accessory function, and it will vacuum seal this external canister. And it's that fast that the pump is very strong, so it will vacuum seal canisters very quickly. And as you can see, that is fully vacuumed. And then whenever you're ready to open it, just turn it to open and you release the vacuum. Now on the USV32, you can vacuum seal either mason jars laying down on their side or vacuum containers that will fit inside the chamber. If it is a smaller mason jar that can fit with the lid closed, that can go in standing up. But we'll go ahead and show you how to vacuum seal a canister right inside the 32. It's kind of a little hack that we can do, but we'll rotate that to seal. And all you have to do is close the lid. We're going to run a very short vacuum time. So I'll keep it set to the same setting, but then I'll just go ahead and press cancel after probably about 10 seconds. That should be plenty sufficient to vacuum seal that canister. All right. And now you'll see that that lid is nice and vacuum sealed, and you can do the same thing with mason jars directly in the 32 chamber. So that is one of the differences between the two. Now, another thing, the lids on both of these are a little bit different. The 32 has a curved, nice curved tempered glass lid, and then whenever you open it, it does have to either be held or you have to open it all the way for the lid to stay open. And since it is a longer chamber, the lid is a little bit too tall to fit underneath a kitchen cabinet. Now on the USV20, it does have a soft close hinge, so if you let go of the lid, it will close slowly by itself. And then it also is short enough that it will fit underneath your kitchen cabinets very nicely. The difference in weight between the two, they both have side handles on the side where you can easily pick them up and maneuver them throughout your kitchen. The USV32 is about 26.5 pounds, and then the USV20 is about 17.5 pounds. So definitely light enough to, you know, move in and out of your pantry, or that you can keep them put on your countertop, whatever works for you. Let's see. And if there's any questions, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. GA asked, can we use this machine to do chili? We tried using a food saver, but it ruined the machine. And how many bags can we do back to back?
Yes. Okay. So we do have a question is, can you use these chamber vacuum sealers to vacuum seal chili? And then how many bags can you do back to back? So the answer to the chili is absolutely yes. And I'll actually show you and demonstrate. I'll go ahead and do that now. I'm going to demonstrate some salsa I have that we can vacuum seal in this. The one thing that you do want to keep in mind when you're vacuum sealing soups or stews or chilies is make sure that the temperature of the chili is room temperature or cooler. If you're vacuum sealing warm things, that can promote bacteria growth. And then another thing is when you're vacuum sealing warm items, that can create a vapor whenever it's under vacuum, and then you won't get as good of a vacuum seal on that chili or soup or whatever it is. So I have right here, this is very liquid salsa. This is our 11 by 13 bag in the USV32. This is the largest bag that we have for this sealer, and you can fit approximately about 8 cups in this bag. Now it's important when you're vacuum sealing soups or stews, chili, anything liquid, that you only fill it, you fill it less than halfway full, because as you can see, when you lay it down in the chamber, it is going to want to spread out. You don't want it to overflow in the chamber. And then also when it's under vacuum, you don't want it to creep out over the seal bar as well. So we'll go ahead and get this one placed in the USV32. Remember, this is about eight cups. And since on a chamber vacuum sealer, since it's removing air from the entire chamber rather than sucking it directly out of the bag, that is how you are able to vacuum seal liquids without a mess like you are on the suction vacuum sealers. Now this is about 4 cups of salsa in the 11 by 10 bag, which is the largest bag for the USV20, and about the maximum we recommend vacuum sealing at a time, again, so it doesn't overflow in the chamber when it's under vacuum. So we're going to go ahead and place both of these in here. I'm going to run both of the vacuum cycles, and you can see now both of these both sealers have the same pump, but since the chamber since the chamber on the USV32 is larger, it's going to have longer vacuum cycles than on the USV20. So the default setting for the USV32 is 50 seconds, and it's 20 seconds on the 20. And so we'll go ahead and press auto vacuum seal, and you'll see how it goes through the process of removing all the air from the chamber. You'll notice that it'll get to a point where it gets bubbling and boiling. It's because we're removing all the atmospheric pressure out of the chamber, and then it will seal the bag and then let the air back into the chamber, which is what collapses the bag and vacuum seals it. So let's go ahead and get started. This one has a few seconds left on it. All right, and if you do notice while it's under vacuum, if you notice that your liquid is approaching the seal bar a little too close for comfort, you can immediately abort the vacuum process by pressing the cancel button, or you can immediately throw it into seal mode by pressing seal, and it will seal the bag so you don't have any accidents inside the chamber. So there we are. That's our finished result with the USV20, an 11 by 10 bag, and that's 4 cups. And then this is a little bit more liquidy, our 8 cups in an 11 by 13 bag in the USV32. And I think we have another question.
Yes, we have 2 questions from GA. Does that boil the food? And the second question is, if they have bags with ridges on it, can they use those?
Okay, so the answer to the first question was, does it cook boil what you're sealing? And the answer is no, because what you're doing is you're lowering the atmospheric pressure in the chamber, which results in a lower boiling point, but it's not a cook boil. And then the other question is, can you use regular vacuum sealer bags in the chamber sealers? And the answer is yes, and I believe we might have some that we can show you. You can use regular vacuum sealer bags in the chamber sealers. You'll get the same result. The only thing that you can't do is you can't use chamber vacuum pouches with a suction vacuum sealer, because chamber vacuum pouches don't have the embossed texture on them, so that actually makes these much more cost effective. So we recommend buying the chamber pouches because you'll save money on these in the long run, and that will kind of offset the price of the chamber vacuum sealer as compared to a suction vacuum bag that has the texture. But I'll go ahead and show you. We'll grab something to vacuum seal. Do we have our avocado? Let's see. I'm gonna vacuum seal this piece of bread real quick. I'll put it in here. This bag is an 8 by 12. We could probably make it work in the USV20, but I'll just go ahead and show you in here. This is just a regular suction vacuum sealer bag with the embossed texture. All right, and it's smushing that bread. Nice, as you can see, a nice tight vacuum on that bread. You probably don't want to do that to your bread at home. That was just an example of how the suction bags work in the chamber vacuum sealer. And I think we have another question.
Is there any way that you could put ribs or something bigger in the machine?
Yes, so you can put larger items in the USV32, but there is a hack that you can do with both chamber vacuum sealers, and if we can get another suction vacuum sealer bag, I'll show you. So if you have either one of these sealers and you have something like ribs that's really long that won't fit in the chamber, there's a hack that you can do by vacuum sealing outside of the chamber. So I don't have any ribs to show you today, so I'm just going to show you how you can vacuum seal externally on the chamber vacuum sealers with a suction vacuum sealer bag. So you do, as I mentioned earlier, you can't use a chamber pouch for this hack, if you will. You have to use a suction vacuum bag because it's kind of taking a chamber vacuum sealer and using it as an external sealer. So what you would do is you would place your ribs or whatever it is that won't fit inside the chamber, put it in your suction vacuum bag. You may have to make a long bag out of a roll, but then all you have to do is you put the opening of the bag over the seal bar, and then you're going to close it. Make sure it's nice and smooth. And then you're going to press your auto vac and seal button. And just keep in mind that you're not going to want to do anything liquidy or anything this way because, again, it's acting as a suction vacuum sealer. It's sucking the air directly out of the bag. And so if you're doing anything with high moisture or liquids, it will suck it directly into the chamber and you're going to make a mess. So, but this is a good hack if you do want to vacuum seal anything that won't fit inside the chamber. So as you can see, we've made a nice seal on the bag and it's nice and tightly vacuumed. If you try to use a chamber vacuum pouch in this way, you can seal the bag, but it won't vacuum it. So that's a fun hack. Now I was just going to show you kind of the difference between using the USV20 and the USV32 to vacuum seal just your typical steak. Now with the USV20, what I always say, this one is perfect for doing single portions, double portions. If that's how you usually, the size of things that you're usually vacuum sealing at home, then this size will work perfectly for you. About 3 pounds is about the maximum amount that you can fit into the largest bag for the USV20, which is the 11 by 10. So we'll put that in there. We're going to go ahead and, since this is a smaller item, it's not taking up a whole lot of space, I'm going to go ahead and up the vacuum time to about 25, maybe let's go ahead and do 30 seconds on this. All right, so that's set to 30 seconds. And since we're vacuum sealing the same size steak in the same size bag, and we have all this extra air in the chamber that has to be removed, our vacuum time is set to 50. We don't want to have to increase it more than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add filler. And what that is you can use the Avid Armor filler plates. One does come with the USV32. We're going to use 2 today. If you don't have multiple, you can use anything inside the chamber, like a book or a cutting board, a dish, anything to occupy more space, because with the chamber vacuum sealer, the more space that you occupy in the chamber, then the tighter vacuum you'll get, or the less vacuum time that you will have to have. So we're gonna place those in there, put it over the seal bar, And then again, we'll keep this at this typical 50 for the vacuum time. And we'll go ahead and run both of these and let you see the results. All right. Now, as you can see, we've got a nice tight vacuum on the USV32. That's an 8x10 bag. And same as over here in the USV20. Nice tight vacuum on both. We had someone ask if we can run a vacuum cycle in either of these without crushing the bread. The answer is yes. It can be a little bit more difficult to do depending on what you're sealing, just because both chamber vacuum sealers do have to pull a partial vacuum, 50 to 60%, in order to make a seal on a bag. So it can be a little bit difficult, but there are some tips and tricks to make it achievable. So if you have your piece of bread or muffin or cookie, whatever you want to seal, we recommend, it's going to be kind of the opposite logic of trying to get a really tight vacuum. You're actually going to want to use as big of a bag as possible, more air, and then make sure there's no filler in your chamber, because you want to have as much air in there as possible so it doesn't crush it too much. So we'll go ahead and put this in here. This is our 11x13. And then, oops, I can get this bag in here. And then we're gonna actually lower the vacuum time to its lowest possible setting. On the 32 is 20 seconds. And then you can also, another tip you could do is just use the seal only function. That's gonna pull the least amount of vacuum that you need so it will still put a vacuum on it. But we'll go ahead and do this at 20 seconds. All right, we probably could have even actually done a little bit more time on it, depending on how tight you want the vacuum, but it's going to be a little bit of trial and error to get to exactly the perfect amount of vacuum on whatever you're sealing. But as you can see, there is a light vacuum on there. It's just starting to kiss the edges, but it definitely didn't come anywhere close to crushing it. So technically, if we really wanted to vacuum that a little better, we could have upped the vacuum time, or used a smaller bag, or used filler. So many different options when trying to do trial and error. Now, another one of the cool features with both of these is they both have a marinating function. And what that allows you to do is to put the chambers under vacuum with a protein and a marinade, and it will put the chamber under vacuum for 60 seconds and 90 seconds, 60 seconds for the 20, 99 seconds for the 32. And what that does is that putting it under vacuum will allow, or will open up the pores of the meat to allow the marinade to really penetrate the meat, and we basically call it a rapid marination. So instead of sticking your marinade in a baggie and putting it in the refrigerator for overnight, you're essentially doing the same thing in a matter of 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and do, you can use just any container that will fit inside of the chamber. This is our marinating canister without the lid, or you can just put it directly in a bag. We're going to do another steak in a bag. Sorry, we're going to do this one in a bag, but just keep in mind that you got to watch for it not to overflow, because in the marinating cycle, when you're using a bag, it does not seal the bag. So you want to make sure it's not going to overflow. So make sure not to fill it with too much marinade. So we're just going to put a little marinade in here, and then yeah, that should be good. And we'll lay it in here, and then you'll see the comparison between the two. We're just going to lock this down in there. That's probably good enough. And then this one, so once you put it under vacuum, like I said, this one will go for 99 seconds. This one will go for 60. We recommend repeating the process 2 to 3 times, and then you should be ready to go. And it's going to make that protein super tender and flavorful. It really is amazing. So all you have to do is press the marinade button, and we'll watch it do its thing. As you can see, they're both beginning to boil or bubble. This one might be a little bit harder to see. There's not as much on top. Now this one's done. The reason it collapsed is just because it's putting the atmospheric pressure back into the chamber, but it did not seal the bag. So just be careful when you remove it, because it didn't seal it. But we do recommend running that a couple times, and then it will be ready to go, and so good. So this one has a few seconds left. There we go. And you can, when that pressure goes back in there, you can just see the that marinade kind of infuse into that. So again, we recommend doing this 2 to 3 times, and then you should be good to go. So that is one of the big things that people love about both of the chamber vacuum sealers, is the marinating function. We had someone ask about what's included with each one. The USV32 does include a sample set of bags, as well as a spare lid gasket and seal bar. So those are considered wearable parts. So at some point you will need to change those out. And then the USV, oh, and I'm sorry, I missed one thing. It also does come with a filler plate on the USV32. The USV20 just comes with sample bags. We do have the spare seal bars and everything available. And the accessories, the accessory cord and the canister set are sold separately. So was there any other questions? If that's it. Well, thank you so much for joining us live today. We hope you got some good information out of this, and we hope to see you next time. Have a good day.